You want to know what's going on here in the local Southern Oregon real estate market, not New York, LA, or Texas, right? It's current and local information that's going to be most relevant to you and is going to help you make the best decisions about buying or selling in Southern Oregon, or even moving to Southern Oregon for that matter. And that's exactly what you're going to get on this video right here and the rest of the videos on this channel. Whether you're a buyer or a seller, you're just curious about the current market trends, this video is for you and for everyone else who is interested in the Southern Oregon real estate market. We just put a bow on the year of 2023 and it is officially 2024, but I want to go backwards and break down what actually happened in the Southern Oregon real estate market and tell you what really happened, what the real story is, because there's a lot of conflicting stories out there that the market went up, no, it went down, no, it was stable. I'm going to tell you the real story and I'm going to give you the data to back it so that you know exactly what is true. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hey, I'm Brian Simmons with eXp Realty. I'm a licensed real estate agent here in Southern Oregon, and I would love to hear your questions. So please don't hesitate to drop a comment down below or even reach out to me directly at 541-954-7758. You can call or text me there, or if you prefer to email, you can find my email address down in the description of this video. So reach out to me either way you would like. Now, I want to go ahead and look at the data, and I'm going to look at the home values and the number of units sold by looking at data on sold listings only, okay? There's a lot of other data points out there, but to keep things most relevant to you, we're just going to focus on this right here that I'm talking about, okay? So we're going to also look at 2022 versus 2023 first and compare those full years, a year worth of data versus a year worth of data for single family residential homes. We're going to look at the counties, and then we're going to break it down by county, and then we're going to break it down by city, and we're going to do all sorts of stuff like that. Okay, so again, we're talking about just the number of units sold and the median sold price and the average sold price. And so what I want to look at first, and I'm looking down here at my phone to show my, or to see my data. So what we're going to look at first is just the combined counties, okay, between Jackson and Josephine counties, and talk about what we saw. And what we saw is the median sold price between the two combined counties went down 3% from 438,000 to 425, and the average went down 1% from 496 to 491. And the number of units sold went down 28%. And that's, again, looking at the full year of 2023 versus the full year of 2022, okay? That's what that data is. So then if we break that down a little bit more granular to the county level, and we look at what happened in Jackson County, okay? Well, Jackson County's median sold price went down 2%, and the average sold price went down 1%, okay? Median was 445 to 438, average was 507 to 503, all right? And the number of units sold went down by 28%. So pretty consistent with what we saw in the combined level. Josephine County went from 420 on the median sold price to 410, and that's down 2%. And then they went from 465 to 457 on the average sold price, down 2%, and down 27% in the total number of units sold in Josephine County. So a little bit less in Josephine County. I mean, you look at, or I guess a little bit less performance in Josephine County there. If you look at what Jackson County did, I mean, I guess it's pretty even if you really think about it. When you look into the cities, though, that's where things start to get kind of interesting, okay? And again, I want to just remind you, we're looking at a full year of 2022 versus a full year of 2023, because in a minute, we're going to look at that a little different way, okay? We're going to look at what's happened over the last 12 months. So again, full years, Medford went from 420 to 415 on the median sold price, down 1% within the city of Medford. Average sold price 464 to 463, which I'm just going to call that even. That could be a rounding error somewhere, like that's just even as far as I'm concerned. And the number of units sold down 28%. So we're seeing a big trend there with the number of units sold being down significantly, pretty much everywhere, okay? Grants Pass, median sold price down 2% from 424 to 415. Average sold price down 1% from 473 to 469. Units sold down 26%. In units sold, what I mean there is the total number of homes sold in the city. And again, we're only looking at single family residential homes here. So we're not looking at multifamily. We're not looking at farms. We're not looking at mobile homes in a park. commercial properties, anything like that. We're literally just looking at homes, single family residential homes. Okay. Continuing on down the list, Ashland, median sold price 604 to 609, up 1% in Ashland. That was unexpected. And the average sold price in Ashland went from 679 to 652, down 4%. Number of units sold down 30%. Central Point, 418 on the average sold price, or sorry, median sold price, 418 to 425, also up 2%. Average sold price, 498 to 482, down 3%. Total number of units sold down 32%, which is a big hit. I thought until I got to Eagle Point, which had, I'm just going to jump right to it, number of units down 36% in Eagle Point year over year, okay? Median sold price 450 to 426, that's down 5%. Average sold price 504 to 489, which is down 3%. And in White City, median sold price 340 to 341, which was even, I'm going to call it, and average sold price 382 to 430, up 13% on the average purchase price in White City, and they were also down 24% on the number of units sold. And so I'm looking at, I'm it might sound repetitive to say median sold price versus average sold price. And just as a reminder, what the difference there is median is if you took all of the homes that sold, you put them in a line in order of cheapest to most expensive, and then you pick the one in the middle. That's the median. Okay. The average is the mean, which is if you were to, average them all up, like you add up all the prices of the sales and you divide it by the number of sales that occurred, and then that's your average, right? So the reason that those matter. Hey, sorry to interrupt the video, but I just want to make sure you know that you can reach out to me directly if there's anything I can do to help you learn, buy, or list real estate here in Southern Oregon by simply calling or texting me at 541-954-7758, which is my direct cell phone number. And it is never too early to start the conversation. So if you're a few months out or even a year or two out, it is not too early to start talking and to start planning. Okay, so please don't hesitate to reach out. I look forward to hearing from you. And now back to the video. Probably some more activity on the lower end, some values that stood out on that low end that brought the average down. Okay, that's worth knowing. To me, maybe you don't know or care about that, but if that's the case, then just, look at both of those numbers as, hey, look, if they're both going one direction, that's obviously a pretty good indicator of what's going on in your area. Okay. So we're going to continue on with one more city, and then we've got, well, actually a couple more cities and then a couple more comments here. So for 2022 versus 2023, Rogue River, median sold price from 470 to 419, down 11%. Wow, that was huge. Average sold price 480 to 465, down 3%. And again, that's what I'm saying. Like there's a difference in median versus average. And the number of units sold in Rogue River down 32%. So what that starts to tell me is that rural areas got hit pretty hard. And so I started to kind of look into that a little more with the data, and I looked at Shady Cove. Median sold price 445 to 365, down 18%. Average sold price 501 to 392, down 22%. Wow. That was big. And the number of units sold down only at 12% in Shady Cove. So that was wild to see. And then Gold Hill, median sold price, just kind of looking for another rural area. Median sold price 473 to 397, down 16%. And average sold price 533 to 447, down 16% also. Total number of units down 20%. So that data to me pretty much confirms what I had felt like was happening most of the year, and what I know a lot of other agents had seen and experienced, which is that the rural properties in the rural areas like Rogue River, Gold Hill, Sam's Valley, Shady Cove, Applegate, probably Merlin, those types of areas, Cave Junction. I didn't look into all of these individually, but I'm just speculating that in the rest of those, I imagine it's going to be the same case where the rural areas got hit very hard with these, reductions in the median home value and in the average in most cases. And so why is that? And it's because if you've been paying attention to my videos, you know what I'm going to probably say here, which is that people just were buying less expensive homes. Okay. And so that's why you see in areas like White City that their values went up. Okay. Because White City's average sold price their median sold price was $340,000. Okay, in Rogue River it was 470. In Eagle Point it was 450. So those areas above the 450 mark, those areas got, kind of hit pretty hard, and the areas that were more rural got hit pretty hard. Whereas the white cities and even Medford, that has a lower price point, Medford's median price point is 420. Um, they didn't get hit nearly as hard as the more rural, higher priced areas. Okay. And the reason that those areas are higher priced, like a Rogue River, for example, or an Eagle Point, is because of all those outlying, um, you know, 10-acre properties and farms and those sorts of things that are considered in this. So that's worth knowing. So I wanted to kind of talk through that on the year over year look, right? So that's all looking at 2022 versus 2023, what happened. And the general consensus there is that in most cases, things came down. Not significantly in most cases. Again, there's areas where, like we just talked about, where it was pretty significant. But overall, a couple percent if you look at all of 2022 versus all of 2023. I don't know that that's my favorite data point, though, honestly. Like, I don't know if that's really the best way of looking at it. And I think that what really makes even more sense is to look at where did we start 2023 and where did we end it? That's going to tell us, I think, what's more accurate, right? What's actually happened in the marketplace. And so if we do that, and we look at what happened in January of 2023 to December of 2023, what we see is that the combined counties, Jackson and Josephine counties, the combined counties went from 410 to 430 on their median sold price, up 4.8%. Okay. The average went up 1.4. If you look at just Jackson County, up 4.1% on the median sold price, down 1.2% on the average. So again, like there's some averages or some values on the low end that brought that average down, but the median, which is the one that I prefer, did go up 4.1%. Okay, I think that's a good number. In Josephine County, median up 10%, average up 9%. Okay, and so wow, like that's pretty substantial. From January of 2023 to December of 2023, it's up 10% in Grants Pass, or in Josephine County. Sorry. Medford specifically, up from 370 to 413 on the median, 414 to 464 on the sold. And I forgot to put in the actual percentages, so you'll have to run those numbers yourself. But up in both cases, and the same thing in Grants Pass. City itself, 399 to 423. It's up, and the average is up from 444 to 474. So those are big gains from January to December of 2023, which is a very different story than if you look at all of 2022 versus all of 2023, like we did in the beginning. Okay. So I think this is a more relevant, look, because it's more current, I guess you could say, right? And something else that's interesting there is, who knew that, Grants Pass, that the average and the median would be higher than it is in Medford. Okay. It's 474 average sold price in Grants Pass versus 464 in Medford right now. That was kind of interesting to see. And then we look back into some of the other cities. Ashland, median sold price went from 670 to 585. So it's down. And the average sold price went from 652 to 660, which is up. So that's kind of the opposite of the scenario we just talked about, where, the average is actually above the median. And so that tells us that there were some really high end properties sold in Ashland that brought that average purchase price up. Okay. So that was also kind of a unique little situation there. So, Central Point, median went from 447 to 425. Average went from 526 to 490. So down on both median and sold price in Central Point from January to December of 2023. Eagle Point, median sold price from 399 to 440. That's up pretty big. Average sold price 408 to 426, also up pretty big. And those are really the ones that I ended on. I think that kind of tells quite the story there, that you can see the data difference between what happened in January 2023 all the way through to December. Clearly, there's an upward trajectory pretty much across the board. There's a couple outlying cities where that's not the case. But it's quite the contrast compared to what we saw in the overall look of 2022 versus 2023, which is a overall downward trend. So what I would say and what I would take from that, and you take what you want out of it, but to me, that's pretty clear that things are on the right track. Okay, things are looking up. There was absolutely, a decrease in those median sold prices from 2022 to 2023 as we saw rates go from 3% to 8%. But now they're coming back down. Okay, and so we're seeing things picking back up and starting to look good. So that's all very optimistic, very good news to see. So speaking of all that, what I want to tell you and what I do in every video that I release every week on my market report updates is just update you on what happened over the last week. Okay, and so the last week of data for Jackson and Josephine counties showed, as of this morning, it's what is the date this morning? It's the 3rd, January 3rd. So as of this morning, 899 active single-family residential listings between Jackson and Josephine counties. We had 49 new listings hit the market in the last week, 59 price changes, 23 went back on the market, 61 pending, 30 closed, and 100 expired, withdrawn, or canceled. Okay, and so the 61 pending is awesome. All right, that could be that's a great number, but it could be inflated because we had Christmas the week before last, and so that was kind of a week where we had really minimal pending activity, and so it could have been that people just waited and then they went pending this last week instead, right? So that could be the case. It also could be the fact that rates kept coming down, and so it could be inflated because of that, or it could be signs of a new trend where rates really have come down and people have jumped back in. So we'll obviously stay looking at that and keep you informed of what's going on there, of any sort of emerging trend. But the other note that I wanted to point out was that the 100 expired, withdrawn, or canceled, that's a lot. But the reason that's a lot is because so many people set their listings to expire on the last day of the year. So 12/31, there's a ton of listings that expired. And so that's why we see 100, and we normally see probably in the 30s or so for expired, withdrawals, or canceled. So nothing really out of the ordinary there. But that's that. So anyways, I hope this video was of value to you. I hope you found some enjoyment in hearing about what's going on in the local real estate market here in Southern Oregon. Again, that is the real story. Those are the facts. That's not. I'm sure there's some opinion in there, but the facts are the facts, right? That's the data that I pulled, and it is what it is. So if you have questions, drop a comment down below. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. Call me or text me at 541-954-7758. Again, I'm Brian Simmons with eXp Realty here in Southern Oregon, and I would love to hear from you. So don't hesitate to reach out, or you can shoot me an email and find my email address down in the description of this video. So thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next video.